Top 20 Best Anime of All Time. Number 20. The Big O. In a world where Batman, the animated series and the Gundam franchise could fall in love, this detective noir meets mecha seinen, directed by Kazuyoshi Katayama, would be their progeny. The Big O follows Bruce Wayne-esque protagonist Roger Smith, who serves as a freelance negotiator, something of a cross between private investigator and lawyer, when he's not piloting the titular Megadoot. Released 3 years after its first, and bringing the show to a full 26 episodes. Number 19. Kurogime. Kurogime presents men and women in ways rarely seen in televised media. Tsukimi Kurashida has been obsessed with jellyfish since she visited an aquarium with her dying mother, an interest she carried into adulthood to feel connected to her memory. She eventually moves to Tokyo in hopes of making it as an illustrator. Unfortunately, Tsukimi is an extremely anxious person, particularly around people who meld seamlessly into mainstream society. It's a clever inversion of the tired manic pixie dream girl trope, and serves as the stage for Akiko Higashimura's heartwarming story. Number 18. Serial Experiments Lain. If you took every heady, philosophical cyberpunk thriller of the late 1980s and 1990s, filtered them through the Matrix and Ghost in the Shell, and then deliberately chopped and screwed the timeline, you would be left with this psychological head-scratcher of a seinen. Director Ryutaro Nakamura manages to cram an extraordinary amount of metaphysical musing into the show's brief 13-episode run, which, despite being anything but an easy watch, is exceptionally rewarding for those willing to plug into its world with an open mind. Number 17. Mob Psycho 100. Shigeo Mob Kageyama is a psychic of unquestionable talent. Unfortunately, that's about all he has going on in the skills department. Based on a web manga by One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100 is a psychedelic blend of coming-of-age tropes and ghost adventures, following Mob as he and his fraudulent mentor Ray-Gen solve supernatural problems in Seasoning City. The show's animation, courtesy of Bones, maintains film-quality action sequences and trippy, Technicolor style throughout, but what really makes it a cut above the rest is its seemingly forgettable star. Mob starts off as an unremarkable boy who just wants to be normal. His dedication to live every day to the fullest is infectious, and by the end, he's got a hearty cast of confidants and companions. Mob Psycho 100 might attract you with its wackiness, but its moments of emotional clarity will keep you coming back. Number 16. Hunter x Hunter. There are countless shonens, and American TV shows, even, that focus on a group of young characters using supernatural abilities and deductive reasoning to solve. Hunter x Hunter is a rare find among this homogeneous archetype because of its attention to detail and emotional investment. This anime is filled with whimsical subplots that don't always end with a major event. The compelling relationship between these two boys demands emotional investment from you. Togashi emphasizes their youth and inexperience by pitting them against much older, more experienced villains, and introduces powerful mentors that help them evolve. The feats of pure determination you'll witness in this anime will change you. Number 14. Paranoia Agent. The story of visual designer Tsukiko Sagi, who invents a pink dog character called Moromi that takes Japan by storm, entwines mysteriously with that of Shonen Batto, Lil Slugger in the English dub, a mysterious elementary schooler on inline skates who attacks her with a bent golden baseball bat. Two police detectives take the case, while Batto's singular attack soon becomes a streak and the distinction between the real and the surreal becomes harder and harder to discern for everyone involved. Number 13. Galaxy Express 999. A space opera classic, Galaxy Express 999 is a perfect entry point for any anime fan wishing to explore the seemingly impermeable world of 70s animation. Matsumoto's distinctive art style imbues the show with astronomical sensitivity, once telling Japan Times after that creating Maytel, the face of the series, he found a daguerreotype of an ancestor that looked and dressed just like her. It speaks to the show's reflective tone, and to Matsumoto, the immense strength of genetic memory. Number 12. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. At first glance, it is particularly chill. It's an anime full of men built like classical sculptures arguing as loud as they can over psychic battles they're having, seemingly in molasses slow time. What feels like hours encapsulates little more than a minute in JJBA's universe. JJBA is so much more than that, though. It's a journey that spans a century and obliterates the rules of how to tell a traditional adventure story, taking liberal inspiration from Indiana Jones, Versace, classic rock, and any other fleeting interest of mangaka Hirohiko Araki to make an explosive hodgepodge of fast-paced absurdity, a language you'll pick up on quickly and soon find cozier than Sailor Moon. Number 11. Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon taught so many girls that they can be saccharine saviors, and that kindness is the ultimate weapon. Usagi Tsukino never sheds her more unseemly traits, but experiences tremendous growth over Sailor Moon's 5-season span. The plot cycle can get a little repetitive, but Sailor Moon features some really strong lady characters, including all of the outer guardians and villains like Black Lady, Chibi USA's evil, grown-up persona, and Queen Nihelnia, whose childhood loneliness spawns true evil. Make sure to watch every season for even more statements on gender and sexuality. Number 10. Michiko and Hatchin. Tackling themes of poverty and exploitation, Michiko and Hatchin is a bawdy tale that centers women every step of the way. With an intense sense of liberation, it's one of the only anime to capture the spark that made Cowboy Bebop legendary. It deserves nothing but praise. The show leads with Michiko Malandro, a convict, breaking out of prison to find her supposedly dead lover Hiroshi. Her only lead is their daughter, Hana, who lives with an abusive foster family. After plowing through their house on a motorbike, the duo travel the country looking for the only mutual connection they share. Number 9. Monster. Naoki Urasawa is one of the most critically acclaimed manga writers of his time, adored by the literary community both within and outside of Japan, and the author of some of the most densely plotted, character-driven, and experimental manga ever published. So it's only natural that Monster, Urasawa's fifth serialized manga and one of his best known outside of Japan, would translate into one of the greatest anime series ever put to the screen. Spanning 74 episodes, the show's premise unspools in the way only the finest crime thrillers should, patiently, yet purposefully. Number 8. Dragon Ball Z. In every practical sense, Akira Toriyama's status as one of anime's greatest creators was all but secured with Dragon Ball. Loosely inspired by the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, the manga and subsequent anime series of Son Goku's misadventures to collect all 7 of the mythical Dragon Balls inspired whole generations of manga artists and animators in Japan. The original series was a classic, but it was Dragon Ball Z that marked the series' transition from a national treasure into a worldwide phenomenon. With hyperkinetic violence, flashy energy attacks, dizzying spectacles of mass destruction, and tense moments of serial escalation, Dragon Ball Z is a singularly important installment in the canon of martial arts action anime and an enduring entry point for newcomers to the medium to this day. Number 7. Aku no Hana. Animated with a divisive rotoscope technique, Aku no Hana flirts with drab imagery for the sake of enhancing its cast's despair, nauseating in its flashes of uninhibited beauty and restrained repugnance. Aku no Hana will leave you feeling disquieted, but also rather seen. Its revelation lies in what we want to hide about ourselves, about the dark side of our psyche that creeps in shadow. There's something life-affirming about that darkness. Number 6. Tatame Galaxy. Almost any of Masaaki Yuasa's oeuvre could make this list, but 2010's Tatame Galaxy is the director's most quintessential work. The characters talk with speed that could make Aaron Sorkin blush. The style is lovingly surreal, with the material delightfully mundane. The content is as cerebral as it is immediately relatable. Though the show's loop begins to feel like a recurring trip through Dante's vision of hell, Tatami Galaxy highly rewards rewatches and shimmers with uncanny realism. You at least have to admire how much Yuasa is able to fit in a 20-minute time slot. Number 5. FLCL. FLCL was intended to feel unlike anything else you've ever watched, anime or otherwise. It's got an incredible Japanese alt-rock soundtrack from the band The Pillows. Its editing is frenetic. Its characters interact in extremes of manic, moody, or forlorn. Its plot, in which robots pop out of a young boy's swollen, injured head, heralding the return of a powerful extraterrestrial being, kinda doesn't matter. Number 4. Revolutionary Girl Utena. The show is centered almost entirely around character drama, cleverly using stock footage and repetition to foster a mythic portrait of its central cast's shifting, intersecting psychological profiles and taboo desires. With its decadent symbolism, Utena has marked itself on anime history as much as its fellow 90s pioneering peers Cowboy Bebop and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Number 3. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Nevertheless, Evangelion's influence is palpable with a cultural overlay that can be seen anywhere from Persona 3 to Gurren Lagann, becoming a phenomenon that seems to exceed the show's literal text. Much like Star Wars, its original creator Hideaki Anno has lost control of the franchise's growth and has since augured the end of anime as we know it, once saying Japan's animation world is moving by inertia. Number 2. Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood. Where Brotherhood excels lies in the sensitivity it expresses for every one of the characters fighting for their desires and contending with their mistakes, with particular highlights for the plights of minorities and women. Ed and Alphonse struggle with the fallout after attempting forbidden alchemy to revive their recently deceased mother. Later, their childhood friend Winry is portrayed heroically for acting as an emergency midwife. Scar, initially introduced as a brutal serial killer, is one of the last remaining indigenous Ishvalans, an ethnic group purged during a colonial war at the hands of Amestris. His odyssey continues to ring more and more resonant as we stray further into a post-terror world. It's why the series continues to wow today. It eschews cliché to make cogent points on human consciousness. Number 1. Cowboy Bebop. Every debate over whether or not Cowboy Bebop, Shinichiro Watanabe's science fiction masterpiece, is the pinnacle of anime is a semantic one. It is, full stop. Its particular blend of cyberpunk intrigue, Western atmosphere, martial arts action, and noir cool in seinen form is unmatched and widely appealing. Its existential and traumatic themes are universally relatable. Its characters are complex and flawed, yet still ooze cool. The future it presents is ethnically diverse and eerily prescient. Its English dub, boasting some of America's greatest full-time voiceover talents, somehow equals the subtitled Japanese-language original. Its 26-episode run was near perfect, and episodes that might have served as filler in another series are tight, taut, and serve the show's thesis even as they do not distract from its overarching plot, which is compelling but not overbearing.